This is Irish News Radio. You can also email us at news@irishnews.net for further information what's happening around the country with a difference. You can also email us at news@irishnews.net with information and what's happening in your community and things that you may be concerned about, new residents in your area, where there may be some drug pushing and things like that. We are getting very concerned about our community and what's happening in different parts of the country. So do please email us at news@irishnews.net. Thank you.
Today, Monday, we'll be talking about the financial mess of Ireland. We're going to be talking about Brexit and how the government is really not handling the situation or dealing with it at all. It's rather pushes the stick at the British to try and get them to change, or hoping that they'll change, or insisting they'll change, and rather dealing with what is going to be the mess afterwards, because it'll be us, the Irish people, who will pay for the mess. British should be leaving next year, and that's when the real problems will happen, because the Irish government haven't dealt with the British. They're dealing with the EU as if the EU are our main trade people, when we do very little trade, and there's going to be big problems ahead, and that we need to keep good relationships with the British for our trade, and ignoring this is devastation. The British aren't going to change their minds. They're not going to make the British re-vote. No matter what the EU wants or what Ireland wants, that is not going to be the reality. The reality is the British will leave, and you can guarantee the British will be leaving in they will be well established to leave. All the Commonwealth, everything will have been well established, so that they will be trading from the day go since they leave, and it'll all be well established. The Irish, on the other hand, are waiting for the British to change their mind, or the EU to be able to force them, and trying to bring in problems about the north and whether it's going to be hard or not. Border. I'm not saying that the border isn't the issue, but what we really should be doing, if they really want to help the Irish, is to make an agreement that we leave with the British. That is the only logical, sensible thing. We need the relationship with the British more than we do with the EU. We do 70 to 80% of trade with the British. This is who we need to be dealing with, not with the EU, because the British will put up a wall and say, you know what, we don't need to trade with you, Ireland. We've got loads of other people we can trade with. They don't need us. It's us who needs them. And it's like this rubbish talk that somehow that the British can't do without us or without the EU. Far from it. They will be trading and trading well. And the problem is the Irish. That this is a very main relationship. It's a very important relationship. The history and our history that's gone through with the British and the Irish, it can't just be changed overnight. We didn't have any links with Europe. And the fact that they keep trying to cover Europe as in the EU, but we don't have really any links with Europe. Our links are with British, and our links are with America, Australia, Canada. That is where our links are. And none of them are in the EU. And that is where we're going to be left on our own. We will left on our own. We do very little trade with the EU. So this is things that are, we need to be talking about, need to be thinking about. It's crazy that the Irish government are forcing ahead that we love being in the EU. When the country collapses, and it will collapse, as soon as the British are leaving, within a few months, this country will collapse very quickly financially. May turn into a civil war because of the amount of homeless, the amount of the hospital crisis, the health services in bits, the schools are in bits. He's saying he's bringing in money into the schools. It's just insane. The whole thing is insane. We need to get out. We need to start back. We need a government for the Irish people. We need to get both Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and even Sinn Féin completely out. We need to start with a new party, a party that will put the Irish people first and will look, what is best for the Irish people? Who is it best? What do we trade? Who do we trade more with? Where do we get our financial securities from? We can't just leave the British and then keep sticking holes at Trump up either and expect that we're going to be okay, because that's not going to happen. The EU left us before and gave us a huge 43% of your banking crisis was left on our heads. There was nobody to save us. The English did bail out, the British bailed us out then, but they won't be bailing us out again. The next crash that happens, there is nobody coming for us. This is the Bon Ree Show. It's a bit of a wet day out there today. We're talking about the financial because it's Monday, so it's financial day. This is when we're going to talk about the mess that we're in. And a lot of people are warning us. A lot of the British, a lot of people are actually warning us. But the Irish government and Irish media is completely on a different wavelength, as if it's the English who will be financially in trouble. It's going to be far from it. It is the Irish. And there's nothing being done. They're just completely ignoring the fact that our main trade people are with the British. And this is the time when Ireland should be logical. We should be working hard to ensure beneficial outcome, which ensures excellent conditions between the two countries, England and Ireland. But that's not happening. And he said that it should be strong advocate for comprehensive free trading arrangement between the UK and Ireland. And the border, these are all very, very, very important issues. That, yeah, they're talking about, you know, the border as in the trade, but it's more than the border. We need to be able to trade and deal without the third party being in the way, the EU. We need to just be able to trade straight to the United Kingdom and back. On the Bon Ree Show, we're talking about Monday, the financial mess of Ireland. So what I want to talk about is everybody should get used to asking people to pay them in money and don't use your cards. Spend money, use money. The reason why is once you're using cards, the government will know, and banks know where you are, how you're spending, how much you're spending. It's a complete track. And if you look around, they're trying to get rid of money. And as soon as money goes, your freedom is gone. Money is so important. So make sure that you're asking people to pay you in cash and that you're spending cash. So there's no paper trail on what and how your money is being spent, and that they don't know where you are. It's a very, very important, because it will be gone. If you look around at banks, there's less and less money changing. There's less and less bureau de change. There's less and less places where you can use and take out cash. So it's an important thing that you get into using money and forget about your cards. Don't use cards. If you want to take out money from your cards, that's about it. Don't be using it to pay for things, because they are going to try and get rid of it, and it means the end of freedom once that goes. The other thing is we may even start having to look at to barter, you know, to swap. Like in the olden days, to barter, you give something for something else, or you make something or something else. We're going to have to go back to the beginning, back to the basis. The other problem with all this is education. Like the amount that has caused, Michael D. Higgins caused the homeless crisis, has signed in the eviction bill. He may not have caused the homeless, but he has signed in the eviction, yet he will be signed in. This is a problem with education, that people don't look to see who caused the problems. Leo was the health minister by the time of the cervic cancer scares. He will probably be voted in again. This is where education has come. They're completely brainwashed. We need to go back to either hedge schools and bartering, because we're now in a time of land leak where houses are being taken away, and we're in a time where we have no rights. And as soon as our money goes, and believe me, as soon as the government can get rid of our money, it will be gone. It's harder and harder. Less bureau de changes, less places where you can actually even take out money. Some banks are becoming cashless. Who ever heard of a bank becoming cashless before? Well, we're at this stage, so stop using your cards. We don't have long to try and change this, and then we're going to have to get used to bartering, because otherwise there is no freedom. As soon as money goes, your freedom has gone. You're literally in a communist state. They know exactly what you are, and they can reach into your bank account and say, you owe us this amount of taxes, and take it out. This is we're heading dangerously, blindfolded. Majority of Irish are completely asleep, and I don't know what will take them to wake up. They seem to just be lazy or uneducated, or just not able to join the dots. And this is frightening times, people. So I want you all to share this, and I want you to wake up and use your cash while you still can. This is the Bon Ray Show on Irish News Radio or itv.ie. If you want to contact us on any of the things I said, it's news@irishnews.net. So please do comment on, and if you want any discussions, because this is the radio station that we'll be talking about lots of things, and my show, controversial issues on things like Islam, our financial mess, the EU, our horrendous, horrible, evil government, and the terrible state we're in. And the best thing that can probably happen to Ireland is that we head into a civil war, because we have no longer freedom. We will be slaves of the state, of the EU. It is worse than when we were part of the British Empire. In fact, I'm thinking that we should argue the fact that maybe we weren't independent because we haven't followed all the rules. We're not independent, but we became a free state. And when we became a free state, that was under the British agreement. But 1949, when we became independent, we could actually re-look at that agreement, because I'm not 100% sure that was ever watertight and that we ever followed all the agreements, because we're still technically under the British Isles. And when the British signed out, they signed out with Article 50 using the coat of arms. And on the coat of arms, it has Ireland still in it, because at the time of the coat of arms, Ireland was still part of it. So these are things we need to wake up to. We need to start thinking, and stop listening to the main radio. This is the station to tune into. This is the station to get the information and to get out there and start using your brain. Like, watch the money being going. Watch it. Go in. Cashless banks. Who's ever heard of that before? That is frightening. But it's going to be gone. Within a few years, there will be no money. So you need to start thinking what will happen then, because they will have a track on us. And again, if you want to reply to anything I've said, it's news@irishnews.net. So tune into the Bon Ray Show on Irish News Radio or itv.ie.